The strangest mutations found in Chernobyl. Hey there, friends. Have you ever wondered what happens when Mother Nature collides with one of the worst nuclear disasters in history? Well, grab a seat and get comfy, because today we're journeying into the heart of the Chernobyl exclusion zone to uncover some of the strangest mutations ever found. Back in 1986, the world was rocked by the catastrophic explosion at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant in Ukraine. It was a disaster of epic proportions, releasing massive amounts of radioactive material into the environment. But what happened to the plants and animals left behind? How did radiation reshape life in this abandoned place? Let's dive in and find out. The aftermath of the disaster. On April 26, 1986, a safety test went horribly wrong at Reactor 4 of the Chernobyl nuclear power plant. An explosion blew the roof off, and radioactive particles spewed into the atmosphere. The immediate area became a hazardous wasteland. The environmental impact was immediate and severe. Trees withered, wildlife perished, and communities were evacuated. The authorities quickly established the Chernobyl exclusion zone, a 30-kilometer radius where human access is heavily restricted. But radiation doesn't just vanish. It persists, affecting the land and everything living on it for decades. Over time, the high levels of radiation led to mutations in the DNA of living organisms. Understanding radiation and mutation. So, what's the deal with radiation and mutations anyway? Radiation can damage DNA, which is basically the instruction manual for all living things. When DNA is altered, it can cause mutations, changes in an organism's genetic makeup. These mutations can be minor or significant, harmful or, in rare cases, beneficial. There are two types of mutations, somatic and germline. Somatic mutations occur in non-reproductive cells and aren't passed to offspring. Germline mutations happen in reproductive cells and can be inherited by future generations. Studying these mutations is super important. It helps scientists understand how radiation affects life and can even lead to breakthroughs in medicine and environmental science. Mutations in flora. Alright, let's talk plants. The red forest phenomenon. Right after the disaster, a pine forest near the reactor turned a shocking reddish-orange color. This area became known as the red forest. The radiation was so intense that the trees died and changed color almost overnight. Gigantism in plants. Believe it or not, some plants in the exclusion zone started growing larger than their normal size. Imagine sunflowers towering over you at twice their usual height. Scientists think the radiation may have triggered certain growth hormones, leading to this unexpected gigantism. Morphological deformities in plants. Weird things started happening with plant shapes, too. Leaves with strange patterns, extra veins, or unusual shapes. Some plants began growing multiple stems or flowers when they'd normally have just one. Adaptive resilience over time. Many plants have adapted to survive in these harsh conditions. They've developed mechanisms to repair DNA damage and continue thriving. Mutations in fauna, invertebrates. Now, onto the creepy crawlies. Insect population studies. Butterflies in Chernobyl have shown wing deformities and color changes. Some have asymmetrical wings or unusual patterns. Beetles and other insects have higher mutation rates, leading to physical abnormalities. Spider webs and behaviors. Spiders have been spinning some seriously strange webs. Instead of the usual neat patterns, their webs are chaotic and disorganized. Their behavior has changed, too. Amphibians with pigmentation changes. Frogs in the area have developed darker skin. This isn't just a fashion statement, the increased melanin helps protect them from radiation. Studies suggest that this adaptation improves their survival rates. Mutations in fauna, vertebrates. Bird studies in the exclusion zone. Some birds are showing albinism or unusual coloration. Imagine spotting a jet black swallow or a pigeon with patches of white feathers. Researchers have found reduced brain sizes in certain bird species. Reproductive issues are popping up, too, affecting population numbers and dynamics. Mammalian mutations. Rodents like mice have shown physical deformities, everything from smaller size to organ malformations. Genetic studies on wolves and other large mammals are ongoing. It's a paradox. The absence of humans may be benefiting wildlife, even in a contaminated environment. Fish in contaminated waters. Fish swimming in radioactive waters have developed anomalies like deformed fins and irregular scales. These changes can disrupt the entire aquatic ecosystem. Microbial and fungal mutations. Even the microscopic world isn't immune. Discovery of radiation-eating fungi. Scientists have found fungi that actually feed on radiation. These melanized fungi use melanin to convert gamma radiation into chemical energy, a process called radiosynthesis. Changes in microbial communities. Bacteria in the soil are adapting to the radioactive environment. Some have developed resistance, altering the soil's microbial makeup. Myths versus reality. Now, let's debunk some myths. Popular myths about monstrous mutations. Ever heard tales of giant mutant creatures roaming Chernobyl? Like enormous wolves or fish with 3 eyes? The role of media and pop culture. Movies and video games have sensationalized Chernobyl, fueling public misconceptions. Genuine scientific observations versus exaggerated claims. It's important to focus on real scientific findings rather than hype. Human impact and genetic studies. Health effects on Chernobyl liquidators and residents. The liquidators, workers who cleaned up after the disaster, suffered increased rates of thyroid cancer and other illnesses. Research on birth defects and hereditary mutations. Some studies show a rise in birth defects among children born to exposed parents. Psychological and sociological effects on communities. The stigma and fear surrounding radiation exposure have had lasting impacts on mental health. Nature's resilience and recovery. But it's not all doom and gloom. Rewilding of the exclusion zone. With humans gone, wildlife is thriving. Animal populations have increased, turning the zone into an accidental wildlife sanctuary. Ecological succession and adaptation. Ecosystems are adapting to high radiation levels in surprising ways. Implications for conservation and environmental science. Chernobyl offers valuable lessons about human impact on nature. Ongoing research and future discoveries. What's next? Current studies being conducted in the exclusion zone. Scientists from around the world are studying Chernobyl's ecosystems. Potential for new discoveries in genetics and medicine. Understanding radiation resistance could lead to medical advancements. The importance of continued monitoring and study. Keeping an eye on Chernobyl helps us prepare for and prevent future nuclear disasters. Conclusion. So there you have it, the strangest mutations found in Chernobyl. This tale is a mix of tragedy and hope. It reminds us of the devastating impact of human mistakes but also shows nature's incredible ability to adapt and survive. What do you think about these mutations? Surprising? Alarming? Inspiring? If you enjoyed this deep dive, be sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe for more fascinating content, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay curious and keep exploring.